Hello and welcome to today's webinar. Today we're talking about how to end your suffering and to experience relief. So just to run through what today is all about, we're going to be talking about how to end your suffering. And to do that, we'll have to find out what exactly suffering is, or the single cause of suffering, what causes our suffering. We'll also have to find out how to identify this cause, how to tune into it. And we'll talk about two techniques which I've developed to end your suffering and to experience the relief that you so greatly desire and deserve. And they're techniques that you probably won't expect, but they're really, really powerful and they work brilliantly. So we're going to talk about them during the course of this webinar. But first, I want to introduce myself. My name is Sandra Ray, and I'm a life alchemist. So I'm dedicated to helping people like you to deeply heal, to discover your purpose, and to live your best life. And it's through these webinars, it's through the practices that I've developed, the meditations, the techniques, that I help you to do that. And my aim is to give you those tools and the techniques that you need to improve your life and to live the life you deserve through the medium of webinars, through my books, through my courses, my teachings, through one-to-one healings and my programs that I offer, and to reach and help as many people as possible. And I believe that everyone has the power to heal. Everyone has the power to live their best life, their life that they so deserve and that they desire. And it's only through knowledge or lack of knowledge that we're not living the lives that we desire. And once we are able to tune into what we need to do to help us to live those lives, to release the stuff that no longer serves us, and to begin to learn the techniques and the practices that we need to step into our best selves, to step into the life that we know on a really deep level that we can live, then we're able to do that. But if we don't have the knowledge, if we don't have the techniques, if we don't know how to do it, then we remain lost, we remain stuck, and we feel anxious, we feel like we're blocked, we feel like life just isn't working for us. So I'm here to help you to get into the flow and to start living that life that you know is just a moment away if you allow it. So we'll start, I suppose the reason why I'm talking about this subject today, about how to end suffering, because it's something that I'm passionate about. And it's something that I've struggled with, being a light worker, being a healer, being someone who believes that we can have everything we desire, and studying metaphysics, studying, all of the new age thinking about manifestation, about attaining what we desire. I think there's a misbelief out there that we have to be positive 100% of the time, and that if we tune into our negative emotions or painful emotions, then that takes us out of the zone, takes us out of the vibration or frequency that we want to be in to manifest what we truly deserve. Now, the problem I have with that is when we try to stay positive 100% of the time, we're not fully experiencing the range of emotions that we're here to experience. And we're also denying our emotions. And when we start to deny our emotions, we start to feel like we're pushing them down. And when we push our emotions down, they fight back. They fight back for attention. They fight back to be released. And we start to feel that underlying anxiety, the fears, that sense of, that there's something not quite right, but we don't really know what it is. And I've experienced that where I've tried to push painful emotions down, thinking I need to feel more positive, I need to be more positive, I need to exude this positivity that we should be exuding. But pushing our emotions down isn't the way forward. So First of all, the cause of suffering is resistance. So, really important, the cause of suffering is resistance. And you might think that the cause of your suffering is another person, it's your circumstances. You might think that it's just a bad day or things are just going wrong and that you're suffering unnecessarily. And that's true to a certain extent. Obviously, we can't change the way people are acting, or we can't change other people, but we can change how we react to those other people. We can change how we feel about what they're doing, and we can change how we're thinking about the circumstances that we're in. So if you're in a painful situation, if you're experiencing something that you don't want to be experiencing, the problem is not the person, it's not the experience, it's not the circumstances, it's your resistance to that. So really important. If you are resisting another person, the way they're acting, if you're resisting your circumstances, if you're feeling, I shouldn't be feeling this way, if you're thinking, I deserve better, if you're thinking, this is, awful and I shouldn't be going through this, then you're resisting. And the way to stop resisting is to start accepting. And that's easier said than done. I'm going to teach you how to do that. But first of all, we need to identify how it is that you're resisting. So if you're experiencing resistance, if you know that you've resistance coming up, and the chances are, unless you're a Zen monk, you are experiencing resistance on some level, you are going to want to know how to do these techniques in order to release that resistance. So first of all, when we experience resistance, we experience it in our bodies. So it may feel like a sense that you're pushing down your emotions. For me, I experience it in my gut, and it's like a tension in my gut. I can feel my stomach getting tighter. I can feel like that knot in my stomach, and I can feel that just sense of tension all around my abdomen. Some people feel it in their chest. They'll feel like a sense of heaviness, a sense of tightness around their chest. They'll feel like just a feeling of something not being right, and just like a feeling that there's something stuck. Other people feel it around their head, just thoughts and worries coming up. They might experience headaches. Whatever it is for you, you have to tune into how you feel resistance. So if you're experiencing it in your body, and you will be experiencing it on some level in your body, once you can identify where you're experiencing it, then you can begin to release it. But before you begin to release it, you need to be able to experience it. You need to be able to feel it first. So when we're pushing our emotions down, if we're feeling that resistance, if we're feeling that we're pushing it down, in order to release it, we need to let it flow. And giving the example of the gut, a lot of people really feel it in their gut. You'll feel like that sense of pushing down. It's a little bit like a pressure cooker where everything is being pushed down. And if you've ever been in a situation where you're feeling that strongly, you'll feel that sense of resistance. If you tune into your body, you'll feel that sense of resistance, of that strong pushing down feeling. So what we want to do is to allow that feeling to come up. And the way I'm going to teach you to do this is to visualize that emotion, that painful emotion, or that resistance, as if it's a flame. Now, maybe in your gut, it may be in your chest, it may be flames in and around your head. Whatever it is, just see it in your body as a flame. And when you see that flame inside your body, if you imagine the flame igniting and burning within you, immediately that sense of pushing down stops, because the flame starts to rise up, and you start to experience that emotion as the flame rising up, and you're allowing that emotion to be felt. And there's a really good quote from Lao Tzu, and it states, "The flame that burns twice as bright burns half as long." And It's meant in relation to when you reach your peak too early. If you reach your peak too early, you'll burn out. So the flame that burns twice as bright burns half as long, so you burn out quicker. And this is exactly what we'd want to do with our painful emotions. We want them to reach their peak quickly so that they can burn out quickly. So if we allow the emotions to come up and be felt quickly, they'll burn out and they'll be gone, and we'll experience that relief that we're looking for. And children are a really good example of this. Children allow their emotions to come up. They allow themselves to fully experience and express those emotions, and then they're gone. They may be screaming 1 minute and laughing the next minute. And whereas with us, if we are holding on to anger, we can hold on to anger for days or weeks or months or years. And children don't do that. They allow the anger to be felt, and then 10 minutes later, they're feeling, happy, carefree. They've forgotten about it because they felt it. The flame has come up, it's burnt itself out, and it's gone. There's no more resistance there. There's no more smoldering of that emotion. And it's funny because recently I was walking in the mountains and I came across a patch where there had been a forest fire, and all the ground was black and burnt. And after a while we were walking and I could hear like a crackling noise. And I looked over and there was still some smoke coming up from the earth. And as I went over to explore it, there was like a crackling. There were no flames. There was just this like smoke and this like smoldering of the earth, where the earth was still smoldering away. There were no physical flames, but that burning, that smoldering was still persisting in this little patch of the earth. And it reminded me of our emotions. When we push them down, when we push our emotions back, that smoldering continues, that fire continues to burn inside us, and it eats away at us. And that's what causes pain in our bodies, physical pain. That's what causes illness. That's what causes, sickness, arthritis. When we're pushing our emotions down, that smoldering, that flame that is still burning inside us is burning away at our bodies, our physical beings. And that's how we experience pain. That's how we experience, illness that we think are coming from outside sources, but it's really our body is breaking down because we're holding that emotion in. So going back to that analogy of the flame, I think it's really important to have that visual of that smoke, that smoldering, that like grey smoke that's just smoldering away, and to allow that to ignite, to burn fiercely, to burn brightly, and to burn itself out rather than keep smoldering and smoldering and smoldering for however long. So when you get a sense that this is what you need to do to release your emotions, that it's okay to do this, you can become really, really good at allowing your emotions to burn themselves out and to pass through you really quickly, which is really good. That's what we want. We want our emotions to come up, to burn out quickly, and to be released. We're not resisting them. We're allowing them to be there. We're honoring our emotions and we're releasing them. So really important to honor our emotions, not to think of our emotions as being something bad, not to think of painful emotions as something we need to push down, not experience. We want to feel our emotions. We want the flame to burn brightly and burn itself out. So I'm going to talk you through a practice in a moment where we can start to do this, and we can start using this on a daily basis, where you can practice this anywhere at any time to allow yourself to feel emotions in the moment. But another important thing I want to mention is that this practice is really easy, really, really powerful, but the hard part of it is remembering to do it. What will happen is you'll learn this practice today and you'll go away thinking you're able to deal with anything, and you'll go away with positive intent to feel all your emotions as they come up. But we're creatures of habit, and when we become unaware And let's face it, most of the time we're acting from the subconscious. The subconscious is running the show. If you've ever driven from point A to point B and then got to your destination and not realized how you've gotten there, your subconscious has taken over. Your subconscious is driving the car. You're going through the motions and you're probably thinking about things in the future or things in the past, and you're not really present. So remembering to do this is going to be the hard part. Doing it is easy. Remembering is the hard part. But with practice, you're going to remember more often. What will happen is there's 3 stages you'll go through. The first stage is you'll notice the resistance after it's come up. So you'll notice you're pushing your emotions down, that you've fallen back into pushing painful emotions down. And afterwards, it might be 10 minutes later, it might be an hour later, you'll notice that you're holding on to that energy. The second part, and then once you notice, you can obviously do the practice to release it, but you'll notice afterwards. The second part is you'll notice the resistance as it's coming up. So as you're beginning to resist, as you're starting to resist, you're starting to push the emotions down, it might be after a couple of minutes you notice, you'll begin to notice what you're doing and be able to then stop resisting, let the flame burn and release it. And then the third phase, which is the final phase, is you'll notice before the resistance comes up. You'll notice the painful emotion rising, and before you start pushing it down, before you start resisting, you'll let it rise even further. You'll allow the flame to ignite. You'll allow it to burn through you and release. So that's the ideal scenario. And, you know, you may go from point A where you have pushed the emotion back down and you've forgotten to do the practice, to point B to point C really, really quickly. Or you may find that you jump from one level to another, depending on your day, depending on your levels of energy, your hunger levels, your tiredness, whatever is coming up for you. So not to think that once you've got to the third part where you're noticing the resistance before it really comes up, that you have mastered it and that you'll always be like that. It's a constant practice of being aware, remembering, and doing this on a daily basis. So we'll go through now the process, and I'm going to talk you through it. It's really quick, really simple, and I'm going to keep it simple so that, you know, not to overcomplicate the process. So what I want you to do is close your eyes and begin to take a few deep breaths in and out, and just relaxing your body. So bring to mind a situation or an experience where you have felt a painful emotion. It can be anger, it can be sadness, frustration, it can be, you know, judgment, whatever is coming up for you. The first thing that comes up is usually appropriate. It's usually what you need to work on and to release. So just feel that emotion, or, you know, even go into the scenario, go through what happened to make you feel this way, and then begin to feel where in your body this emotion is coming up strongest. Is it in your gut? Is it in your heart? Is it in your head? Where are you feeling this the most? So just tune into that now and just allow yourself to experience in your body where the resistance is coming up the most. Okay, so once you've identified that, just visualize that flame, see that flame inside you, and see it beginning to burn. So as you see the flame, you're going to start releasing that energy. You're going to start allowing yourself to feel that emotion. So as you begin to see the flame burning bigger and brighter, feel the emotion more and more. Feel the emotion rise up in you. Allow the emotion to come forward and just honor that emotion. Just feel it in your body. Just feel it more and more, just gaining power within you. And even just let it take you over. Just see where it goes, see what it does, see what happens with the energy. You might find that the energy moves around your body. Sometimes when the flame ignites, the energy can move up your core and it can come out your head and around your body And it can be like waves of emotion that pulsate through your body. And just be really curious about this, really curious about the energy, about how it feels. And keep with the visualization of the flame as it's burning through you. And if you find that it comes to a peak and it starts to subside, that's okay. Just let it subside, let it burn itself out. And if it keeps coming on stronger and stronger, just keep with it. Just keep allowing it to develop and just honoring that feeling, just honoring that emotion within you. Okay, so once you've experienced the emotion in its fullest, just taking a really deep breath in and breathing out and releasing and relaxing. You might need to take another deep breath in and breathing out and releasing and relaxing. So great, well done. You are starting to get a sense now of where the emotions are felt in your body, how they feel, and what it feels like to experience that, to be willing to experience that, and the release that you experience once you do fully feel that energy. You might feel lighter already. You might feel that there's a sense of relief, that there's a sense of lightness, that that flame has just burnt away that heaviness that's been inside you. So whatever you're feeling, just honor that feeling now. So as I said, there's two parts to this. The first part is remembering, and then the second part is having the courage to face and feel your emotions. So let's talk about courage for a minute. What is at stake if we feel our emotions? What's at stake if we allow ourselves to feel our painful emotions? So a few things might be coming up for you. Most of the time, people feel that if they allow themselves to fully feel a really painful emotion, that they will become overwhelmed, that it'll be too much, it'll feel unbearable, and they won't be able to cope with it, they won't be able to deal with it. So if that's coming up for you, if that feeling of not being able to cope, not being able to deal with it, feeling overwhelmed is coming up, then you need to feel that emotion more than ever. If you're running from that emotion, it is going to chase you. If you're resisting that emotion, it is going to fight back. Whatever we resist in life persists, and it's like that smoldering flame. It's going to keep smoldering inside you. It's going to keep eating away at you. And the important thing to know is if you feel your emotions fully, if you allow yourself to feel it, first of all, you're not going to die. You are going to experience release. You're going to experience relief, and you are going to feel much better. So you have a choice now. You can choose to resist feeling your painful emotion, to continue feeling off, to continue feeling that smoldering emotion within you, eating away at you, or you can have the courage to feel it, to fully feel it, and to experience relief. So it may seem that some emotions are easier to experience than others. And, one emotion that is really painful is the emotion of grief. And it's like we don't want to feel that sadness, that deep, painful sadness that we experience from grief. And I remember reading in a book, The Journey, Brandon Brays talks about how we can experience grief in its fullness over the course of 5 days. If we allow ourselves to fully experience grief, if we allow ourselves to fully feel it, we can feel that and experience it in full over the course of 5 days. And when you think about it, grief lasts for years in some people. And that's okay. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I'm not judging. But if you could feel grief fully, and it doesn't have to be 5 days, perhaps it's 5 months rather than 5 years. And I remember feeling this way when my father passed on, and feeling that there was no way I could fully experience that pain because it just felt so painful. But I was willing to feel it as much as I could. I was willing to go into it, and I was willing to allow it to be. And even if I didn't go into it as much as I could have, I was willing to go 90% of the way there. And going 90% of the way is sometimes all that's needed, because the other 10% will come up in its own time. So I'm just saying that if you think that something's unbearable, if you feel that you're going to be overwhelmed, go 90% of the way or 80% of the way there. Allow yourself to experience that as much as you can in that moment. And you'll find that that other 10%, that other 20% will come up and be released in its own time. And be gentle with yourself, be loving with yourself in the process. But don't try to not experience it. Don't try to push it down. Don't try to numb yourself. Because the other thing is that we feel sometimes that it's easier not to feel, that it's easier to feel numb, it's easier to feel nothing at all. So we stay on this level rather than going down. But when we stay on this level, we don't experience the lows, but we don't experience the highs. We don't experience the pure joy of life. We don't experience the bliss of life. We don't experience happiness in its full. We can't have grief present or anger present and feel joy at the same time. We can't have those opposite ends of the scale. So we have to release the painful emotion in order to feel those positive emotions to their fullest. It's not to say that we can't experience happiness or joy at some point. It's, we may have, this feeling of numbness and experience a little bit of happiness, a little bit of sadness, but generally we're, on this level. What I want for you is to experience the highs and experience the lows, but rather than staying in the lows, you just experience them for a moment and then come back up again. So rather than dipping down and traveling along this low underlying feeling of grief and depression and despair, you dip into it fully, and then you rise back up again. Does that make sense? So what I want you to do is allow yourself to experience those emotions, to dip into them, allow them to burn themselves out, and then rise back up again. And each time, by the way, you will rise back up higher, to a higher point than you were before. So rather than experiencing life on this level, you're going to start rising up. And then when you go down, you'll go down to this level that you were at before, that you were traveling along at, rather than going down to this level. So rather than feeling numb and just dipping down and coming back up again, you are going to travel up to this height of the joys, the freedom, the possibilities. You may dip down slowly, it may go slightly below, but each time you're going to find that you're going to travel back up here much quicker, and you're going to experience much higher highs. And it's not to say that you're going to live in total states of bliss and joy. Of course, that's not the aim either. It's to experience the emotions that we feel, and to experience all of life, to experience everything. Because it's only in knowing the grief that we can know the highs as well. Okay? So the other thing that I want to talk about is, if you're resisting this, if you're resisting feeling your emotions, you may think, oh, well, it's just too much effort. I have to be aware of my feelings. I have to, remember to do this practice. I have to make this effort to do all of this, and I just couldn't be bothered. And if you're feeling that way, what I would say to you is, that is your fear coming up. That's fear speaking its loud voice saying, you know, it's not worth it. It's going to be too much effort. You know, don't do this. And if you allow fear to rule your life, if you allow that voice to prevent you from doing this practice, then you're allowing that to rule you. You are its slave and fear is your master. And that is not the way to live life. You want to be the master of your circumstances, of your life, of your emotions. So don't let that feeling of, oh, I couldn't be bothered, prevent you from doing this practice. So when we think about it, it's not really about courage at all. It's not really about it being too much effort. It's not about any of those things. It's allowing yourself to become free. It's allowing yourself the release that you desire and that you deserve. And in the long run, that's so much easier. That's the easier path. That is the path of least resistance and the path that you want to take. So we talked about remembering to do this, and I was saying to you that you're going to forget to do this practice, and that's okay. But I'm going to give you another technique that you can do when you've gone through a full day and you've forgotten to do this practice, and you go to bed at the end of the day and you feel, oh, I'm like holding so much stuff inside me, and I'm just feeling really tense, really anxious, I'm feeling angry, or whatever is coming up for you, whatever, you know, emotions are coming up. We're going to allow ourselves to do a practice at the end of the day when you go to bed to help release all of that. So I'll talk you to this practice, and if you like, you can practice it now, or you can wait till you're in bed and try it then. So the first part is to lie in your bed on your back and just get really comfortable, take a few deep breaths in and out, and just become aware of any emotions from the day that are still lingering inside you. It's usually whatever's on your mind, whatever you're thinking about. And this is a really good practice if you can't get to sleep, if your mind is on overdrive, to do this to help release it. So tune into what's coming up in your head, tune into what emotions are there, and again, allow yourself to feel this in your body. So where in your body is it? Is it in your gut? Is it in your heart? Is it around your head? Just where are you holding tension in your body? And then as you begin to feel that, you're going to take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, start to feel that emotion. Whatever emotion's coming up strongest, if it's anger, allow yourself to feel the anger inside you. If it's sadness, allow yourself to feel the sadness inside you. And as you continue breathing out, allow the feeling to get stronger and stronger until you come to the end of your out breath. And before you breathe back in again, hold your breath for a moment and just allow that emotion to rise up in you even stronger, just for a few seconds, just as you hold the out breath at this very bottom of your breath. Just feel that emotion fire up inside you. Allow yourself to feel it more and more. And then take a deep cleansing breath in. And that deep cleansing breath is going to flush out that emotion. So breathe into the top of your breath and then repeat the process again. As you begin to breathe out, breathe it down into your body. Feel the emotion coming up. Let it fire up inside you. Feel it stronger and stronger and stronger as you breathe out and out and out. And then at the bottom of your breath, just hold the breath for a moment. Allow the emotion to get its strongest. And then breathe a deep cleansing breath in, flushing out the emotion and cleansing your energy. So do that a few times, as many times as needed. Use the breath to breathe down into the emotion. Hold the breath at the end of the breath. Feel the emotion stronger and stronger as you breathe out. And then take the deep cleansing breath in to flush out the emotion. And you'll find that as you do that, your emotions will come up really strongly. Be with it. Allow it to be there. Know that you aren't going to die. You're not going to be overwhelmed by the emotion. The emotion is going to burn itself out, and it'll burn itself out quickly. and then it'll be released. So have the courage to do that. And if you do this each night, if you practice this at the end of each day, you'll find that you will have transmuted so much painful energy that you will be feeling enormous relief. You will not know yourself because you're not holding all that smoldering energy and emotions inside you. So really, really powerful way to transmute those emotions and to experience that relief that you desire. So just to go back to the remembering part, the key obviously is to remember to catch yourself during the day when you're resisting. But if you don't remember, that's okay. Don't beat yourself up, because again, that's a form of resistance. Just allow yourself to do this practice at the end of the day to release whatever is coming up. And really importantly, the aim is to feel your emotions in their full. It's not to get rid of the emotion, it's to feel the emotion and allow the release. Feel the emotion and allow the release. If you try to get rid of the emotion, you're resisting it, you're pushing it back down, and you're not feeling it fully. So, big difference between the two. It's not getting rid of the emotion, it's allowing yourself to feel it. So I'm going to finish there. It's getting dark, so I'm aware that I am losing brightness. And just to summarize what we went through. So first of all, resistance is the cause of all suffering. It's important to identify the resistance in your body and how it feels to you, where it resides in your body, what that feels like. Third thing is, remember to use the techniques that I've taught you in this webinar to feel your emotions, to fully feel and experience those emotions coming up for you. Have the courage to feel your emotions. And finally, keep a sense of lightheartedness about the practice. Keep a sense of curiosity, of wonder, of fun. And don't look at this as a chore. Don't look at this as something you have to do. Keep that sense of lightheartedness about it, because at the end of the day, that's where you want to be. You want to feel light, you want to feel energized, you want to feel happy. So keep that sense of lightheartedness about it. So thank you for being here. I'm so delighted that you showed up for yourself today. I'm thrilled that you have these techniques to start using in your own life. And I'm so looking forward to seeing and hearing how you get on with this. Let me know, give me some feedback, comment, message me directly. Let me know how you get on and begin to experience that relief that you desire and that you deserve. Begin to live your life more fully and to become awake to your good, to all the goodness and all the positive emotions that you can now experience. So thank you for being here, and I look forward to talking with you again soon.